And welcome to my channel. My first video, which they will get better. I learn quickly. And this one is a fitting of a DRO, digital readout, to the mill. You can see recently I received a nice box which contains almost everything that you need. Well, I'll mention that, and also that some of the parts are not much use. The box contained 2 horizontal bars and 1 vertical, fixing brackets, the digital display, which is the blue bit at the back, the leads and the power supply. Comes with some instructions for use but no instructions for fitting. This one will be the y-axis, which will just fit straight on underneath the table on the base plate, on the base casting. These are the instructions, show you how to use it, but as I said, none about fitting. But every mill is different, so you modify it to fit yours. It's a fairly easy job. Just needs a little bit of thought. You'll learn any mistakes, but they're easily rectified. That one is the vertical. This one is the horizontal for the table, the x-axis. Needs cutting. Just take the bracket off the end, cut with a hacksaw, reapply the mount. This one goes straight underneath. Hopefully it will all go well, and to be honest, it did. I know that because this is voiced over after the event. First safety step, unbolt the mill from the table and remove the plug. Because it's not mounted or not fixed down, it would normally be. This is the vertical slide, the easy to tell, fits on the side. I will take the black guide strip off, which is just a scale, and there is a pointer on the side of the gearbox. Held on with Phillips screws, take them out, clean the area and start fitting. So trusty Phillips, and the next step is start fitting it. Didn't need cutting, didn't need modifying, just go straight on. So mark the position that you choose. I put it right near the top and with enough room so that any tool is going to be close to the table. Nice black permanent marker. Get it in just where you want it. Mark it. Center punch with an automatic center punch. And then drill and tap. This is one of the things they don't supply, are the mounting screws. I chose 4BA and I bought a bottom, a second tap and a plug. So because the holes are very short, easy to do. Drilled the holes with a mini drill. I just steadied it to make sure it doesn't fall. Nice centre punch marks, and drill the holes. I'm not going to subject you to the dentist because that's what it sounds like. Horrible job, but easy enough to do. It's cast iron. Yours hopefully will be the same. This is the taps. I chose to go straight in with the bottom tap, the plug, because the holes are so shallow. They're only about 3 or 4 mil, just over 1/8 of an inch. Fitted the screw and then took it back out again to make sure I had tapped it deep enough. The mounting bracket is very thin, so it doesn't need a lot of extra. With it removed, with the screw removed and back out of the way, make sure before you actually do fit it that you fit the plate on the back. I fitted the lead I actually did fit the plate, did fit the guide, but I had to take it back off again to put the mounting plate on. Silly boy. But yes, it's a nice easy mounting. And welcome back. The bar I have put in place. Straighten the plate out, you'll see that shortly, and I've sprayed it up with some black. I haven't got gloss, I've just got satin, so I've used that. I found that there was a small problem. They supply some nice panhead screws, 3mm, to screw the plate to the back of the unit. When you do, because of the thickness of the heads, the bar will not sit back, it actually bends. Luckily, when I bought some screws, I got countersunk ones, 3mm, nice and short. So using these, it's back in place and it does go up and down. The plate is actually there. I've marked the hole, so I'll drill that very shortly. I won't subject you to the dentist drill again. I will switch off for a moment, tap that and put this one in place. They say that the displays are not waterproof, debris proof, etc. So I've dropped it down and covered it just to keep any stuff out. I put the little black screw in. I don't know if it had another function apart from holding the pointer, but at least it's filled the hole back up so no debris is going to get down here, which this is probably the gearbox, so we don't want to upset that. With the local hole drilled and tapped without incident. There is the display exposed to the world again. Bring it back up. Put it in its place. And screw the plate in place. So as the head goes up and down, which it does, so that goes up and down. But that one I will bring down to there and fix it the right way up. It's bad enough that the camera, I'm seeing the display upside down. So that one will go there, and as the table moves backwards and forwards, so this one, they advise putting a protective cover over so that there is enough room for me to do that. I've got some strips of plastic and I'll just silicone them in place. So yes, that should work. This one is just a repeat of everything I did up above, so I won't bore you by making you watch it all over again. This one doesn't need any alterations, it just needs 3 holes drilling, tapping and screwing in place. So I will do that and welcome you back when it's done. So trusty sharper. Sharpie, not Sharky. I'm thinking of my fish tank. That is the mounting plate for the display unit, and this is the bar. Slightly too long, as you can see, so application of a hacksaw once it's been marked. That's the mounting shoe, 2 Phillips. The white tag that you can see is just the battery shield that you remove, take the battery out, easy enough, standard thing, saves the battery. It's important at this point to note that when it's fitted, you want it below the table height. So we are about to expose problem number 1. Because of all the screws for the gib strip, the locking screw, the table clamp, it will be too high. So with the bar cut, reapplied the shoe. I mentioned earlier on 4BA. No, it's 4mm. I'm so used to working in model engineering and BAs, taps, threads, that I forgot myself. Mistake, so that's corrected. Yeah, mount. At this point, I would normally put the shoe back on, offer it in place, drill the holes. But as I've mentioned, the display will be too high and there is nowhere to put the mounting plate because of the table lock. So we'll have to go to plan B, which will be fit it to the back. And then when we do that, we expose problem number 2. It was a bit harder to overcome, but it was. As you can see, right on the edge of the table, so not practical to fit it to the front of the table. Yeah, literally flush as is. So definitely plan B. At least it's the right length. So it's a matter of turning the mill round, offering it in place. Offer it, mark it, centre punch, and drill and tap the 4mm holes for the mounting screws. The bracket will be too long, so it's just a matter of cutting it, drilling a new hole so it's shorter, easy enough to do. Problem number 2 is the fact that you can mount the strip, but can't drill the hole for the fitting of the plate because there just is not room to get anything in. So the pillar will have to come off. I didn't really want to take the mill apart, but application of a spanner and muscle, and it came off. So the next clip is with the pillar out of the way and just the table to work on. That's the plate. You can see, just cut it, drill a new hole and fit it. Might have been possible just to bend it, but no, do the job at least half properly. So get the plate out the way, get the guide out the way rather, and take the pillar off. Now hole. One nice little plate with a 4.5mm hole drilled in it. So back where we were, fit this again to the bottom towards the back. Of the strip. Place it central on 40, so it's close enough. That's where it's going to be fitted. marking pen. One hole. Not sure what those 2 holes were. And drill. With all the holes drilled, tapped, it's now time to fit the bar, hopefully for the last time. Because of the clearance problems, this one, when I plugged the cable in, it would go into the top of the unit. Well, that was overcome by turning the unit upside down. It still fits, it still works, it just reached negative instead of positive, but I can live with that. It's far nicer to have the digital readout, even if I've got to sort of live with it being the wrong way around. Makes it a bit different, but it works. That's the main thing. The hardest part of the whole thing was actually lifting the pillar back up onto the bench, holding it steady with one hand just to make sure, and getting the bolts back in. But with that done, it was time to turn the mill back round. That's the final screw going in, and just tighten them up, get the bar nice and level, and make sure it doesn't rise up over, and plug it in, put the display in place, plug everything in, and hopefully the lead would reach the socket on the wall behind, and it actually did, which was good. Just checking, there we go, pillar back in place, turning it back round. Moore's a bit nervous, making sure these things don't fall over. They're very heavy, and top heavy as well. If you cant the table over far enough and jar it, you've got a very nasty accident happening. But there we go, plug the lead in. Got to get used to it. It's with it in the back, it's difficult to get to the on-off button, but it is possible. And once you've used it a little bit, I'm sure I'll get used to it. And yep, that's the basics fitted. Here's the mill bolted back down. I will move the camera up so we can see at the top. 3 leads to install first. It says X at the top, so let's bring this one down. Plug it in to there. This one is the centre one, Y. So this one goes under here. To the front. Oops. And there it is, the display in place. It is magnetic, no holes needed. So it's just a matter of connecting the leads, the top X, middle Y and the base Z. Connecting the power up, I found that the lead was long enough. It's not very long. I would have liked it longer, but being a transformer in the socket, they're very difficult to extend. But luckily, I put lots of sockets in when I built the shed and wired it, so there was plenty of room. Connect them up, power it up, and then start to get used to it. I found that turn it on, and you'll see the numbers come up. One didn't come up to start with, but that was me. I hadn't put the plug in properly. It's swappable between metric and imperial, which is a big advantage because the machine is metric and most of the work I do is model engineering, which uses mostly imperial. So that's a huge benefit. To operate, very simple, turn the dial and the numbers change. If you wish to set a 0, you have to make sure that the rail is on, or else it just returns to a random number. Apart from that, it's been a huge benefit and I'm very pleased with it. It was a simple job, it's just a matter of a bit of thought of the placing of the rails. I eventually bought some self-adhesive mounts, cable ties, tidied all the cables up, clipped them all together to the pillar and then underneath to tidy it up, make sure they don't get tangled, abraded, whatever. But it's been a huge benefit. I highly recommend doing it. So with that done, as I said, this is the first video. They will get better as I get more practiced. And what will come next? Well, we can't go and fit another one. The lathe that I've just bought and upgraded to did come with a digital readout, so there's no need to fit one to that. But let me introduce Sirena. This is Sirena, vertical boiler 040 Sentinal shunting locomotive. Stuart Turner 1010V at the front, chain drive. Been on my bucket list for 40 years to make. It's about a third complete. And well, if it's interested, I will carry on. Thank you for watching, and they will get better.